Hello, today on Project Next, get the word out. We're talking to Coumba Kebe, a Democratic candidate running for the Indiana House of Representatives in District 29. With a background in public health and home care operations, Coumba has built her career improving care systems and advocating for families across Indiana. Motivated by her belief that leadership should be transparent and people-centered, not party-centered. She's campaigning on expanding affordable health care, strengthening support for seniors, protecting public education, and making everyday life more affordable for Hoosiers. Coumba describes her campaign as one that puts people before politics and builds common ground across communities. Welcome, and boy, does that align with Project Next. How are you? Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, okay, I don't know a ton about you. We met on filing day. This is kind of exciting.
Yes.
Well, okay, first of all, the day before filing day, I found you on TikTok. That's the magic of TikTok. It puts who you would want to see. It's like, we know, Sarah, you'd want to meet this person running for State House. So I met you the day before, walking in the halls of the State House, see you. We talked for a couple minutes.
Literally in the hallway. It's like so crazy.
So I'm really glad we did. And I'm so glad you're running for State House. I researched you a little bit, and it's really cool how into like healthcare and public health you are, especially because I've done a couple shows about public health and like I looked up before the episode about like funding in Indiana and how much public health is getting defunded and how much it's going to hurt. And it was like as much as 80% we were getting stuff defunded that like really helps Hoosiers' lives and keeps them healthy. And I was beyond horrified. So my guess is you were finding out this stuff too, and it kind of helped you decide to run. But first, just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you jumped into a State House race.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'll start where I'm from because I think that's really important and gives people perspective for like just how I think about the world and how I approach my career. But I was born in New York City. I am a daughter of immigrants from Senegal, which is a country in West Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we lived in New York until I was about 10 or 11, and then my family decided to abruptly move to Indiana. And so imagine my surprise as a child when I land in Indiana, and back then it was not as developed as it is now. So all I see are cornfields, and a child who never once considered where corn came from, it was very underwhelming. And I was like, me back.
So you weren't impressed when you first got here. Like, this is quite the change.
I was like, this place is not it. Take me back. But over time, have grown to love Indiana. But lived in Indiana, grew up down south in Franklin Township. Went to Indiana University, where I really kind of fell in love with public health. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and then I started taking organic chemistry and realized I was not that kind of smart. I was a different kind of smart. And so I decided to go into public health. And I really didn't even know what public health was. I just knew I had like all the credits to transition, and really fell in love with this idea of like, where does individuality end for community well-being? And I'm like huge on public service. It's what brings me great joy. And so thinking through critical and very nuanced healthcare issues and talking about how like, maybe we might feel some type of way about this, or whether it doesn't align with our systemic beliefs, but it's what's good for the greater good, right? And so that was always a question that I loved battling in public health. And then I went to IUPUI and got my master's degree in public health, specifically health policy and management. And that's right when I really got into understanding how policy decisions impact healthcare systems and overall public health. And so
so public health is being gutted. It's being gutted so bad in Indiana. Sounds like somebody that has their master's in this could really help make better laws that could improve the lives of hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And do you know John Macy, Dr. John Macy? I think that's his name. That's who I did 2 episodes with about public health. He's a professor at Bloomington. That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
So anyway,
I
yeah,
mean,
I
maybe
worked.
he did. Maybe I was in a couple of his classes, but that was so long ago.
I
I
don't
don't
honestly
remember.
remember
But
all of my professors' names though. I was just
honestly, that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I decided to run, because I feel like there is public health expertise missing when it comes to policy and decision making.
It's just
And
like they do the cut. We
we
need to
just
cut the
cut.
fat, cut
And I
cut the extra expense. It's like, no, 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 no. This ends up saving us money. If we take care of
exactly. And
Hoosiers and they have
yeah,
healthier lives, they don't need as much support later on. And then they're able to like keep a job. They're able to like support of their community instead of needing support. So it's so frustrating because it's so short-sighted. Don't you
there's a
think?
direct, you're right. There's a direct correlation to a healthy population to economic prosperity. We see it in, Western world and other countries. Like Japan is a great example. It's a capitalistic society, very big in investment and kind of similar to the United States, but has one of the healthiest populations because they invest in healthcare and they take care of their aging population. And it's led to great economic prosperity.
You're studying in your education, you're studying the proof, you're studying the numbers of
Yeah,
less
it
people die,
exists.
less people need tax paying services. You have all the facts and data to support what you are saying. So it has to be so frustrating to live in this beautiful place of Indiana and they're gutting it and they're hurting the people we love, our communities.
Well, and what's even more frustrating is we see the real impact to these policy decisions. Like, for example, in the last year or so, there's been an attack on Medicaid, right? Because we're hiding under this umbrella of Medicaid fraud, waste, and abuse when that's not the reality of what we're dealing with. And it's really negatively impacting our senior population. And what's important for us to know that we don't talk about enough is we have a growing aging population. By 2030, the projections are that people over the age of 65 are going to outnumber children. And
Wow.
instead of investing in how do we keep these people safe at home so we don't overwhelm our hospital systems, we don't overwhelm our doctors, our nurses, we are gutting these programs. And now in Indiana, we have people on wait lists. We've heard stories and seen people dying because they don't have access to care. And not only
And I see my neighbors can't afford health insurance.
yeah,
And it's going to be harder to get on insurance, and so they're just going to go without. They're not going to go to the doctor when they're sick. They're not going to get the diabetes medication they need because they can't afford it. I mean, I'm seeing it in my communities. My people I love, their lives are so much harder than they were 10
and
years
it's a
ago.
ripple effect too, because let's say mom can't get insurance. Now mom has to live with daughter. Now daughter has to stay home and take care of mom. Now daughter's being pulled out of the workforce. Then how does daughter support family? And then that's another person we're pulling out of the economy. It's just an impact that a ripple effect and an overall systemic impact that we just aren't talking about enough. And the data has been there for decades. It's just that we've ignored it. And just like an example, other countries invested in healthcare and long-term care for their aging population decades ago because they saw this coming and they knew the economic impact. But now it's right at our doorstep. And instead of investing, we see it. People are dying, people are suffering. We're just cutting back. And it takes me back to like, okay, then what is at the center of this policy decision? Is it people or is it something else? Because if it was people, then it doesn't make sense why we're not investing and providing the care that people need.
You hit the nail on the head there. You made a really good point. The people that are making our laws, the majority of them, the super majority, do not seem to be making laws that help Hoosiers' lives. They seem to be doing something else. Now, I've looked into this during my last campaign because you can go to opensecrets.org and you can find out who's getting donations of things. And then you find out about lobbyists. You probably know about lobbyists, right? And and then I interview people that are state reps, like Wendy Danchester's been on, and Carrie, another one I can't remember, Carrie Hamilton's been on, and then I also have people that work at nonprofits trying to push legislation, like Citizens Action Coalition. Curran Olson, he tries to help our energy bills be lower. And that's when I had all these interviews, I start to piece together the horrifying truth that our state reps get donated, they get campaign donations, they get wined and dined by people that want to make their company a lot of money, and then they write the legislation with loopholes in it. They hand it to the legislators that they've wined and dined, and those legislators take it and get it passed. And when I figured that out, I wanted to throw up. I'm like,
Yeah.
what have we done? We, the people, should be governing. We should not be governing this way. You know, it's so gross.
That's the unfortunate truth of so much money being in our politics. And that's why it is so important to me that my campaign is centered around people before politics, because to be honest, I had no interest in entering the political space, right? I never thought that I was the person or the type of person that would be a good politician, right? Because I never thought I fit those standards. But after seeing all this injustice happening in the healthcare system and people suffering, it kind of left us normal people with no choice but to step up, because our conscience just no longer allows us to stand by and say and watch, our lawmakers make bad policy decisions that are leading to people dying. And that is the simple truth. And it's just not enough for us to call it out anymore. That's what I was doing on my TikTok, calling it out for months. It's like, okay, well, now we actually have to step up and do something about it. If we want to change the system, we have to be willing to enter the system, despite how challenging it might be for normal people who may not have, the financial support. It's like, that it's just way more important for me to try and at least raise awareness and to do this than to just sit back and watch what's happening. So
I'm curious, you're clearly extremely qualified. Like, your stuff. You're very smart. You're very driven to make people's lives better. I'm really encouraged that you stepped up and are running. Did you feel like you were good enough, or did you have to beat that? Because a lot of times women think that, oh, it should be somebody else. Maybe a man should do it because it's of our culture. We've kind of been told,
no,
let the man handle it.
A man
That's
should
good
do
to hear.
it.
I'm so glad.
But I did have a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? And it took a couple people outside of myself to say, hey, I see it in you, right? I always believed in myself, and I believe I could accomplish anything that I put my mind to. But politics was for me just like a morality thing. Like, I felt like it was like, I can't enter that space because it doesn't feel authentic to me. And so when a couple people would say comments to me like, oh, you should run for office, and I'm like, okay, maybe they see something in me that I don't see in myself. But when
you're clearly amazing. If I knew you, I would have been asking you to run too. Yeah.
Thank you. And so when I started to have these conversations, and I remember specifically saying to someone like, I just don't know how people would receive me. They were like, I think you're what we need. Just stay true to you. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it authentically myself. And as long as I stay aligned to my morals and do it with integrity, it'll resonate with the people it's supposed to resonate with.
That's advice for everybody that wants to run for something. Be yourself. A lot of people give not great advice about running, and they've never ran a campaign. They've never ran for anything, but they're trying to help. I think it's out of caring, but they give a lot of bad advice. Like, it looks like if you use this message, people might follow, or if you said it this way, just ignore all of that, all of the messaging stuff. Be you. What do you care about? Everything in Indiana is bad. Every single thing in our state is not as good as in other states.
Yeah.
And so you just pick what you care about. Like, I really ran on public education. I'm really worried about, we keep defunding our kids' schools in Harrison County where I live. It's really rural. There aren't any good public or private or charter schools. It's just not great online schools or driving far away. And it's like, stop defunding our schools. The elected politicians we have here vote every time to defund their own people's schools. And so I focus on that. But I mean, it's just pick which area, because everything's hurting.
No, you're exactly right. And we all have our lane, and we all have our expertise. And also, like, for me, I'm big. Public education is also a priority of my campaign, but I'm also like, I don't have an ego to where I can say, I don't know enough about this. Let me contact the experts. Let me speak with the experts. And I wish that our policymakers would do more of that, especially when you make policy decisions, when you don't understand the downstream impacts. You just make decisions and you don't engage stakeholders. You don't don't engage providers and you kind of like criticize us for trying to engage, or you don't make space for us to have a conversation. I mean, I can't tell you how many times myself and hundreds of other advocates and providers in the space, especially in home care, try to engage our representatives and try to engage our senators, and we're just dismissed or ignored. And it's like, we're trying to have a seat with you and work with you despite us not agreeing, and not even making space for that is just unacceptable for me, right? Especially when people are dying and people are suffering. So
they're doing the opposite. They're not there for us. When you message, you try to, you're like, hey, I'm an expert on this, I can give you some knowledge. Not only do they completely ignore us, but they kind of gaslight and bully us and act like we're bothering them. How dare we bother them? And then they act like the victim. Like, it's just so much bully mentality in the public space in Indiana right now. And I am sick to death of it. We have got to get better people elected that aren't bullies, that don't act like the victims, that don't constantly gaslight their people that are supposed to be in power, we the people. And so, yeah,
and I think you're triggering a really interesting thought for me, because it's like, I think that's happening because there's a power imbalance here. I think we, the people, have forgotten that we're the ones in charge. We vote for these people. And the problem in Indiana is we don't vote, right? So this year we have to get out and show them, hey, the reminder is that we, the people, are the power. And if we don't like how you're governing, we get to decide who stays and who goes. And it's really important that we empower Hoosiers to remember that our votes matter and that it's important. And if you're not happy with the direction in which the state is going, you have to participate. Democracy only works if we participate. And if you feel like you're getting bullied by your representative because they think they run the show or they're the ones in charge, you got to remind them during the primaries. You got to remind them during election season. And I think that's just kind of where we forgot that we have that right, and it's totally in our power.
I was having a meeting on Monday with some important people about strategy for saving Indiana. And one thing I shared was, I've been involved in local politics for 6 years now. And I am still trying to find what is the way to encourage people that feel hopeless to vote. Because that seems to be, like in my town of Palmyra, it's like 900 people. They just, so many of them just feel hopeless. We have a bad town council right now that are really hurting us. And I'm trying to motivate them, and they try for a little bit. And then the second they don't get the thing that they wanted, they're like, that's it, we can't do it. And I'm like, no, we got to play the long game. This takes years. You can't just do one thing and then don't get it and then give up. And do you have words of wisdom for that? Because it's something that I see holding Indiana back, where they feel hopeless.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of hopelessness, and I think a lot of it has to do with, there's just a lack of trust, right? People don't trust the government as much as they used to. And, we're standing up here and they're like, okay, here are some more people saying they're going to change and they're going to, be better than the last. How are we supposed to believe them? But I think that's where our authenticity comes in. And that's where we say, not only do you get to vote, but you also get to hold us accountable. And we're accepting that. We want you to do that. And this is how you engage. Part of what I really want to do in this campaign is not just talk about how important it is to vote, but to talk about ongoing civic engagement and ongoing accountability. Because 2025 was like the first year that I annoyed the crap out of my representatives and senators, because I'm like, I'm not happy with what's going on. And so I want you to know that. And we have that opportunity. I can't tell you how many people tell me, I didn't even know who my state senator was until this year when we were talking about redistricting, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think what we can focus on is, yes, it's important to vote, but also once you elect these people, watch their policy, their decisions. How did they vote on redistricting? How did they vote on the policies and the bills that are
follow mad voters for all that info. Yes. We don't even have to do.
We don't have to do the work.
We can just follow mad voters, and there's a bunch of great organizations. That's another thing that I think should encourage people to have hope. Indiana is organizing. We are really doing like Mad Voters, indivisible groups. There's Do Something Southern Indiana down here, which is fantastic. There's so many groups. There's Hoosier Action. Hoosier
Yep.
Action's incredible down here. Where are you? What's your
I'm,
district area?
oh, so yeah, that's a good point. Noblesville. It's mainly Noblesville and a little bit of Fishers.
So that's like north
North of
eastern
Fishers.
part of Indy?
So like northeast of Indy, like 40 minutes north of Indy.
That's a good district to possibly flip
It's
a
great.
seat, right?
It's great. It's great. And I can't tell you how excited I am because I feel like young people are really engaged this midterms. And I'll be honest, like when I was 18, I don't think I participated in midterms. I don't think I even really understood what midterms were. But to see so many young people engaged in our campaign is giving me hope because that means that, a lot of people who maybe typically wouldn't vote in midterms are looking to vote this time to make sure their voices are
And
heard.
I have good news to back that up. The recent polls that are coming out of particularly Southern Indiana, where I am, show that Democrats are expected to win this November. Like it's looking good. If we
From your mouth to God's ears.
And then not just Democrats, if we can just get concerned Hoosiers to vote for better people and not vote straight party ticket, but vote for the person, do a little bit of research. I feel like that's going to happen more. I feel like we're starting to catch on. So I'm really hopeful for your race. I think isn't it 4? If we flip 4 state house seats, we can stop the super majority. And
that's
then they kind of,
then
we kind of, they have to listen to we the people a little bit more. Right now, the Republicans in the state house and the state senate are the bullies of the state. They can overpower our governor, Mike Braun, because they have so many people in that if Mike Braun says no to something, which he hasn't yet, but if he said no to them, they would do another vote and veto his right. So the governor doesn't have very much power because of the supermajority. It's these Republican state house and state senate people that have so much power. And that's why they're not listening to you, Coumba, when you're reaching out to your representative. They don't have to. But if we can flip that, and it doesn't have to be a complete, all of a sudden Democrats are in charge. It could be just the Republicans don't have the supermajority anymore. We could stop a lot of bad. Did you hear in the last state house elections, like the laws that got passed, Mike Braun passed, he signed every single one of them into law.
That's why one party supermajority doesn't work. And the way I try to explain it to people to help them understand it is like, listen, the state of Indiana has had one party in charge for almost over a decade, which means if they wanted to make your life more affordable, they could have done it with no resistance from the Democratic Party. If they wanted you to have access to healthcare, they could have done it with no resistance from the Democratic Party. In fact, they would have fully supported it, but they haven't. So for them to now say, we're going to focus on affordability, we're going to focus on making your life easier, it's like, you have a decision to make, Hoosiers. We have 10 years of evidence, right? And just like you said, they have so much power. They could do anything. But
they're even bullying the Indy City Council, even though the Indy City Council is mostly Democrat. They're not great. Jesse Brown's doing great. Maybe some of the other ones are. I don't know. But for the majority of them, they feel bullied by the state house and the state senate that they're not doing a good job. So it's hurting our whole state.
Yeah, and what's crazy about where we're at right now is I went to the state house to submit my paperwork with the Indiana Rural Summit and talking to some of the candidates. It's like, no matter where you live, we're all experiencing very similar things. Yes, some areas are more disproportionately impacted by what's happening, especially rural areas when it comes to healthcare. But I mean, everyone is feeling the pain and the burn of these policy decisions.
And that's a lot of Republicans. Since we're a majority Republican in Indiana, that's a lot of Republicans hurting because of Republicans in power. And we're catching on. There's only so long you can hurt them and say, oh, it's the people not in power doing it. That there's only so long you can do that before people catch on.
We need balance. We need balance. We need different perspectives. We need different ideas, and we need we need everyday people who are working in these systems, who are experts in these systems, who are not just sitting in offices and making decisions, but we are experts. We're seeing the real life downstream impacts. We need to be in these leadership roles and provide insight in order to make better policies, and also listen and engage with people within the communities and within the spaces that we work in, and make sure that their input is reflected in policy. And so I think what's tough about where we're at is it's really, really tough, but we have a really great opportunity to make quick impact to help people. And I hope that we can do that in November.
I really love your unity message. Your let's help all Hoosiers. Let's stop the stupid divisive stuff, which I'm saying that division that we see online, it is fake. It is made up. It is fabricated to keep bad people in power, to keep bad rich people making money. And some people are choosing to believe it. I've lost friends over it because they're believing the online extremism. But I'm telling you, it is fake, because when you actually get out there and you're going to be doing this and you talk to real people in your district, you don't see it near as much as you see it online. Are you seeing similar things to what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I tell people that, and I have to remind myself of that sometimes too. I think we're where we're at in our country, in our state, because of this weird attachment to identity politics and just misinformation, right? There's misinformation being spread about marginalized communities, and there's just this weird attachment to connecting to somebody because they have an R next to their name or a D next to their name. But I think we're at a point where everyone is collectively asking the question, what is our moral compass as a community? Where do we stand as a collective? And are we proud of the direction in which we're headed in? And I think the majority would say, no, not really. And it's time for us to maybe put aside that whole political identity thing and start to vote for the person, and start to question, okay, where do you stand on this policy? What are your thoughts and your ideas? And is this person operating with integrity? Are they willing to at least hear us out? Because the reality is you're never going to agree with all public servants 100%. But is this person willing to hear us out? Are they willing to explain their decisions? And can they face their constituents? And I think,
yeah, because it's so telling if you can't get, if they're not doing town halls, if they're not answering emails, if they're not calling people that are calling them and saying why they're voting for something, that shows a lack of transparency. And those are the people we need out. Like, it's pretty easy to see. Just you guys do an experiment. Does your state rep, your state senator, will they get back to you? Just try it. Like, see. Because
you're totally right about the community aspect. Whenever I'm out in community, like I'm like, okay, this is what's real. And I think we have to remind ourselves sometimes to turn off the phones, to turn off the news, and to get back into community and connect with people. Because at the end of the day, I think most people, when you're face to face with someone, you remember like our oneness, right? You remember humanity, and you treat people more with respect. It's a lot easier to be meaner online than it is in someone's face. And after you might have a preconceived notion about someone because of how they look or who they are, but then once you talk to them and engage with them, it does change your perspective. And I think we're going to need a lot of that this year and for the next few years to come, because we can't just act like this part of our history never happened and we just try to skate over it. We have to have hard conversations and extend grace in order to change hearts and minds, I think, to create a better future and a better foundation for what's to come, right?
Yeah, you said that so well. I love that so much. Like, we can't believe the extremism. We have this moment in time, and it is happening right now, right this second, to be welcoming. A lot of people that voted for Trump 3 times are not liking him anymore. A lot of people that voted straight party ticket Republican are waking up and saying, I don't think they're fighting for me. And we can be welcoming, or we can shame and guilt them. And I'm frustrated by our political party, the Democrats, not all of us, but the group of us that are name calling And what I encourage everybody to do is, if your news or the social media, the sites that are popping up when you get your phone out, if they're divisive and they're name calling the other side, if they're calling Republicans or Democrats terrible names like they're awful humans, and taking the humanity out of them, I
Yeah.
would suggest stop following those places, because it's making you hate people that have been misled. We're,
Hmm.
all of us get misled. All of us can get manipulated, and we have to admit that. And like, if we can just kind of acknowledge, hey, it's not healthy that MSNBC is calling, this person this terrible name.
Yeah.
I might not like how they vote, but they shouldn't be calling them that name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And what's interesting about it is it's really tough, because I acknowledge that everyone is going through their own experience, and a lot of what's happening is very traumatizing and very
Yeah,
difficult.
I agree. We are traumatized.
And a lot of people are processing and developing, emotions in their own ways, right? So I can get why people are angry and frustrated, but I think it's important for people like us who are trying to step up and be leaders to show what it's like to extend grace. And I may be there now in my journey, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think I was always there. I wasn't always in a space
during the
where
pandemic,
I could have
during
a
the Black
conversation
Lives Matter,
with
during Black Lives Matter, I went
right.
so
But
far to the left. And I'm not
so
saying I'm
far,
not there
yeah,
policy wise, but I got angry and I got mean, and
yeah. And
yeah.
and that's part of the journey, right? It's part of the journey of processing emotions and processing change. And we were angry, we felt the rage, and now I'm in a space where I can extend grace and I can extend kindness, and I can show my community what it's like to make space for people like that, and who may have been misled, who are trying to find their way in the world. Because you're right, we're not going to get to where we want to be if we just dismiss everyone who felt like they were misled because they didn't have all the information. I can now say, okay, now that you're in a space where you can listen and we can have conversation, I'm not going to judge. I'm making space for you to be in community, and to see what is the truth, and to ask questions, and to try to deconstruct your mind in order for us to move forward. Because it's really important to me that we don't skate over this anymore, that we have real conversations about the shadow aspects of America. And because these are things that marginalized communities have talked about forever, and have said, no, the racism is still here,
Yeah.
all of this stuff is still here. And now that we're seeing it, it's hard to deny. And a lot of people are saying, okay, so let's talk about it. Let's deconstruct it. Let's say what that means. And let's talk about how we make sure this doesn't happen again.
I like how you're saying it, because you're not just saying, just invite them over, everything's fine, just get over it, that they thought terrible things. You're saying, no, welcome them in and have empathetic conversations and
Yeah.
hold each other accountable and be prepared for growth. I
Yep.
had an amazing Black woman, Barbara Barry Bailey. She is a pastor, a Lutheran pastor, and
Oh,
a
I think I
bishop.
saw clips.
And
Yeah,
oh my
she's
gosh,
great.
I love her so much. And she was
Very
like,
insightful.
it's okay to talk to people that are racist. Here's a Black woman saying, it's okay for me to talk to someone that has racist views, because if I don't talk to them, where's the growth? How am I going to get this person to be a little bit less racist? And
Yeah.
right now I see our division saying, you showed racism, I can never talk to you again. It's like, well, how do we lessen racism then? How
Yeah.
do we lessen it?
And
You
like I
know?
said, like, and not everyone is there yet. And I can understand that and respect that. But for those of us who are, we have to do the work, and we have to be willing
I
to
just
engage.
feel responsibility. I'm
We
lucky
do.
because
We
I'm a
have a
white
sense of
woman, and I
responsibility.
feel responsibility that if I see someone that I'm comfortable with having views that I think are not the best, I'm comfortable having a conversation and not getting mad and controlling my anger and seeing if I
Absolutely.
can push. You know why? Because I care about you. And I would love it if that person left feeling a little bit less fearful, just a little bit less, because the chance, if you push them the other way, if you call them racist, if you call them out, you call them MAGA, you call them maggot, these awful names, you push them more extreme, the chance of them getting more hateful increases. And that is definitely what I don't
And
want.
that's why I'm so adamant on you have to be ready, emotionally ready to have this conversation. I will not say blanket statement that everyone needs to make room for these conversations because not everyone is ready. You have to have the emotional capacity to
I
be
wasn't
able
ready
to
in
have it and
2020.
have a productive conversation. And I wasn't either. But now I am. And I actually do find joy in it because you're right. There is, you know, I tell this story quite often. I was in an Uber home from like an event that I left, and I was talking to the driver, and he was a MAGA supporter. He was very clear about that, and he had shared like he was very frustrated with the fact that young people do not want to go into service anymore because he was recruiting for the military, and I was like, you know, that's a fair point. And then he started to complain to me about his insurance. He's like, I have to work to like pay for insurance. And I said, and you served in our military? He's like, yeah, I served in Afghanistan. I said, thank you so much for your service. I said, I wish our system would support you better. And I was like, do you think maybe that's why kids don't go into the system anymore, or maybe are having a hard time reconciling with, you know, joining the military? He's like, you know what? I never thought about it that way. Like, and to hear someone say, I never thought about it that way, but because you maybe just planted a seed for them to just think about a different perspective as to why young people are not as willing to participate, or maybe their perspective on war is changing, was just like, it stuck with me too. And it just showed that like, okay, you are capable of having tough conversations and, you know, planting a seed for someone else to grow and think about things differently.
But some of the reason I wasn't there in 2020 was because of what I was watching. It was pushing me to have hatred towards the other side. And it literally took me stopping watching some of that, pulling away and picking more unity things to help get me in a better mindset. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you think we're ridiculous, it's not all your fault. People are pushing us to be divisive, to feel those feelings, to have the hatred, to have the there's no way I'm talking to a Trump supporter. You have that because you're being pushed to have it. So part of getting there is acknowledging what we're spending our time listening to, what we're looking at. We do need to be a little more active in it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You are kind of the creator of your reality, right? And I think part of what we need to keep in mind is it is important to be informed. It is important to pay attention, but you cannot let the media consume you. You can't let it consume you to where you're
so anxious.
You can't relax. You can't function, and you can't figure out like that. That is a nervous system overload, and it makes it really difficult to figure out what your purpose is in all of this. I was there, right? I thought I was so concerned about all the things happening around the world. I'm like, how do I solve all these problems? I'm one person. That's not your job. Your job is to get yourself to a point where you can regulate your nervous system to think long enough and say, what is my purpose in this machine, right? What is my purpose? And I found that if I can't do anything to save the world, what can I do to impact my community right now? And it's not always run for office. Some people are, you know, creators. They create music or they create art. Some people are protesters and advocates, and everyone plays a role, but you have to find what works for you.
You could work for Mad Voters. You could be a volunteer for Mad Voters. You could listen to legislation and pick up on the horrible things the state people are trying to do to us, and you can help make graphics to pump it out. Yeah, there's all kinds. You're right. It doesn't just have to be run for something. Something I want to talk about that I really have been thinking about lately is I notice people can be, and I've definitely been guilty of this, been judgmental of people for not paying attention to local issues or state issues or national issues. And I just want to take a minute to say it's a privilege to be able to allow that into your brain, to have enough space to look at local news. Like a lot of people in my community are working multiple jobs. Somebody has a health issue. They have health issues. They've got so much going on. They're just trying to stay housed. They literally don't have 1% of their brain extra to go towards, well, let me catch up on what happened at the State House today. And I just want everybody to realize if we are able to pay attention, we should also be doing something, because we've got to protect the people that's lives are so stressful. They can't
Yeah.
research what's happening in Indiana, you know?
I mean, there are different levels to that I'm learning. There are people who really don't know how to like find some of this information. Yes, they see it on TikTok, but like they genuinely don't have an understanding as to like what's happening. And I think that there is something that we can do as leaders to teach people like how to do that on their own. But also I think a lot of people are, and I experienced this a little bit, disconnected for survival. I mean, some
Yes.
people are just trying to survive.
Yes,
They
I
don't
agree.
have capacity to pay attention. And we also have to accept that a lot of people are coping with this in their own way. And there are some people who just have the privilege of not paying attention and not being impacted. And that does suck.
Yeah, that's
but
true. There is a group of people
there
that
is-
lives are going pretty well, so
and-
they don't
and
need to pay attention.
That's unfortunate, right? But I think we also need to understand that there are just a lot of people who are just really trying to survive, and what's happening is overwhelming. I mean, I have moments where I'm like, I can't look at the news today. I have to just.
I do too. After the November election, 2024, I have to take a little break. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to live in the real world today because I don't want to see that. And we also have to understand like the algorithm loves pushing things in our face that are very overwhelming. And then everyone thinks like, okay, well, how can I act? I don't know what to do to help in Minnesota. So sitting there and watching traumatizing things all day is not productive for me. It hurts me and I don't know what to do about it. So I'm going to focus on the work that I can do here in my community to keep my community safe. And that's just,
you know, a tip I learned to help with, like, okay, so Minnesota, terrifying, right?
Terrifying.
You know what I've just started doing? I make my algorithm the helpers. I want to see what the helpers are doing
and
to help
highlight
in Minnesota, because there's this huge giant group that are like, they're like organizing food and supplies, and they go and deliver it to immigrants so the immigrants don't have to leave their house.
I mean, I saw people were taking in
a better way
family
for me to
members.
take it.
Yeah, I mean, people were taking in like whole families, and that is the side of community that we should be highlighting. But the news won't spend time highlighting that because what gets views is the traumatizing,
the terrorizing us. Let's terrorize you so you keep watching.
Yeah, and so that's important for us to be aware of. But Minnesotans are coming together in ways that we've never seen before, and I wish we would highlight more of that.
It's so sad and so beautiful.
Yeah,
you know, it's so horrifying. My heart is breaking for what is happening with ICE and with anybody with not white color skin. I am so sorry. Yeah. But you're right. The helpers are helping. People that have probably never really done a lot of community volunteering are suddenly doing all they can to save the people in their city. And that is beautiful. And I don't know. It's hard, girl. It's hard for me to keep my mental health with the news the last few weeks. Have you had a little extra struggle? Because
I do. I have my moments, right? I have my days, but I think what has helped me, I think 2025 was overall a really tough year for me, just with the news cycle and all the things that were going on in the healthcare space. But I've kind of reached this point in my life where I'm choosing to hold on to hope and that things will shift and things will change. And I'm trying to stay away from this doomsday mentality that everything is ending, the world is crashing, because I refuse to accept that, right? And I see enough people, especially in the state of Indiana and all across the country, who are stepping up and saying, no, we're taking this back. This is our time and our calling for people who are tired of this to step up and to, put ourselves in leadership roles and to try to advocate for people and to put people back at the center of policy and decision making and all of this. So I am choosing to hold that.
But I think you're right. I really believe that's the outlook and that's what's going to happen. America, if you look at our history, we've come through some really hard stuff. We had a civil war. We've come through hard times and we've gotten through them. I don't know how many individual people are going to be hurt. That's where I'm upset about. People are going to be hurt. This is going to hurt us for years. But our democracy, America, we're strong and we can take this. And we still live in a democracy. Yes, voter suppression is real. Yes, it's harder to vote. We still can vote. We still have free speech. You and I can have this conversation freely on the internet right now. There are countries across the world that can't do that. So
Yeah.
we kind of have to stop this. That's it. Everything's over. America's ruined. No, it's not. I
Yeah.
really believe we're going to elect a unity person this next election. And we're going to, all the trauma that we face, the fact that more people are being hurt than ever before in America, we're going to come together and we're going to actually start fixing things. I know it's going to happen, but I think it's so hard with the doom stuff online to see it and believe it.
It is hard. It is hard. And, as unfortunate as, the past few years have been for most Americans and, lives lost and just lives ruined, I think the silver lining is in all of this is one, you're seeing communities come together in ways that they've never come together before to support one another. We're going back to living in community and taking care of one another.
Yep.
And you have leaders who would normally have never stepped up to run for office, stepping up to run for office. And you're right, we have a real opportunity to say, okay, we have a chance to build. We're not just going back to normal pre this. No, we're building a new world.
We need to make stuff better,
different.
Yeah.
And it's going to take all of us, because I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know that anyone does, but the first step is to get the right people in office. And there's a ton of incredible people running all over the state of Indiana who just want to do right by people, right? And that's the first step. And then we can start to think holistically, what does the future of American governance
just
look like?
2 years ago, Coumba, 2 years ago, we couldn't find people to run for State House.
Yeah.
And I barely got in the ballot. I was trying to find somebody for down here. And then I just stepped in and did it. And then I eventually met Michelle Higgs, who started Indiana Rural Summit.
She's incredible.
The difference from 2 years ago, Indiana, to that filing day where I met you, and what Michelle and Indiana Rural Summit pulled together with about 30 people coming to file that day was incredible. The difference between that short amount of time, that should give all of us hope. We stopped redistricting. Mm-hmm. That should give us hope. Braun is now going against Trump. Didn't see that one coming. I mean, at least a little bit. He's a little bit. I don't. It doesn't matter, because the state house and the state senate can just veto anything Braun does. But that's hopeful. But Indiana, we're building and it's working. The fact that you're in a primary too, right?
That's crazy. I mean, we went from not having Republicans being contested to now having massive primaries, all over. I think
that's incredible.
Hamilton County. And that's the beauty of democracy. You have a choice, and that engages voters. It forces us as candidates to work twice as hard to get out into the community and to encourage people to vote. And
competition is good.
Yeah, and to tell people why they should consider you. And I'm so excited for what that's going to do for the communities, and just voter engagement in general. And we have to get voter engagement up. I mean, Indiana, I think, might be second to last when it comes to voter engagement in the country.
Yeah, it depends on which.
Last means we need to push people to get out there and vote. And so
we're last in some, and then we're second to third to last in others. It just depends on which way you phrase it. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, either way, it's really bad. So let's get out there and vote.
So if you are in the Noblesville area, the District 29.
Yeah, so Noblesville, District 29. There are some maps.
If you want to vote for Coumba, you go and you ask for a Democrat ticket on May 5th. You go to your voting place, your polling place, you ask for a Democrat ticket, and then you vote for you. There will be some primaries now, because a lot more people are stepping up to vote, and that is good. Tim has my co-founder, Tim Peck, running for Congress. He has some primary challenges, and I'm I'm jealous. I know I kept wanting somebody to primary.
No, you don't have one?
I don't have one. And people don't, girl, my district
people don't want a primary.
My district is so rural. It is very hard for, not saying it's impossible, but it's not like yours. Your district, you've got a real good chance to win.
I'm so stoked
to flip a seat.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. Oh, man. Yeah. And you know what? Also, people are scared to lose. People are scared to put their name on the ballot and then not win because they're going to take it personally. It's not about winning or losing. It's about building. You got to start from somewhere. You got to build hope. You got to build voter turnout. You got to meet people. You got to convince them. I've heard it takes 5 times of meeting one person to get them to vote for you.
Really?
5
Okay,
times.
that's a good stat to know.
And
I
so,
agree. I think when you get into this, you have to get into it with the mindset of, okay, why am I running? And for me, it was like, as long as I can raise awareness for what is happening, that's a win in itself, right? And
yeah, you call out the issues that
yeah, that's
your opponent is voting on.
yeah,
If you weren't running against them, they wouldn't have anybody to push back on. So
exactly.
it's so important, you all, to run and then lose. It just doesn't matter. I ran for county council, lost. Ran for state house, lost. Running for state house again, who knows? And you know why I'm doing it for this election? The main reason I'm doing it, well, I'm trying to help my friend Tim win. That's District 9. That's 18 counties. So that's a little section.
Yeah,
I'm a little section of his. I'm trying to help Secretary of State. If
yeah.
we can get a Democrat elected for Secretary of State, like just by you running, you're going to help get more votes for that. If we can get a Democrat elected for Secretary of State, we can save Indiana, because we can make it so those stats we were saying about how bad it is to vote in Indiana, we can make it better. And
Yeah,
then
and look, we have 2 awesome contenders for that too.
yeah,
And
I've had Bo and Blythe on my show. You can watch both
yeah,
of them if you want.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird how Indiana does that. You have to be a delegate, and then you got to go to Indy June 6th. Are you a delegate?
I
I'm a delegate too. So we got
I'm
to catch
running to
up.
be a delegate. Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's going to be hard for you to be a
For
delegate.
sure.
I wonder, do you know how many delegates are in your county?
I don't know. I think I heard 40. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how many.
No, that sounds right. Mine's 11. There's only 11
Okay.
delegates in Harrison County for the Democrat, because we had such low voter turnout last time.
So are you going to be on there? Well, how does that work? Are you going to be on there like 10
So
times?
that's a good question. So the people that are like the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer of the county party, they automatically get a spot. I'm on leadership, but I'm not one of those. So I went and filed. So I filed to be one. If we get more than 11 people filing, precinct chairs get to vote. I'm a precinct chair, so I'll vote for myself. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that the group of Democrats that I'm involved in will vote for me. So I'm pretty sure I'll get to be a delegate. But yeah, it is interesting. There's going to be counties where a bunch more delegates are going to fill out the form, and then they can't pick that many, so there'll have to be a vote with the precinct chair.
Yeah,
like, you should get a vote. You're running for state.
On the number. I may be wrong on the number, so I'll take that back and come back.
It's okay. It's more than 11 because you have more Democrats in your county that vote. Yeah. That's interesting. But yeah, that's the biggest race going on right now, is the Bo by Blythe Potter in the Democrat Indiana world. It's spicy.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, we got something going on in Indiana, so it's making things interesting for sure. And I'm excited to see how it folds out. They're both great candidates. So
how can we help you? I love you. I adore you. I'm so thankful you're running. I'm so glad we ran into each other.
Yeah.
How can we help you, whether we live in your district, whether we don't? How can we follow you? Give us some info.
So you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all Kebe for Indiana. I think on Instagram, I'm Kebe for Indiana 29. Same with TikTok. How you can help me: 1, register to vote. Find your district number. And if you're in my district, come out to some events to support and get to meet some folks in the community. If not, I really encourage you to look into candidates across the state of Indiana that are running, because there are some awesome stuff, some awesome candidates, and I try to highlight them, and I'm going to do a better job of doing that, of like reposting their stuff. And then, of course, this is a people-funded, community-funded campaign. So if you are able and you have it, want to donate, we will happily take a donation to support community events and voter engagement. But to me, the most important thing is not just voting in District 29, but that we get more Democrats elected across the entire state. And
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
We need some balance. So get out there, get engaged, learn more about your candidates.
And it's KEBE
for Indiana.
Yep. KEBE for Indiana. And you're really cute on your like TikToks and Instagram videos. That's how your TikTok thing popped up to me. And
I was
great.
Feeling very spicy back before I decided to run for office. I was very, very
I encourage you to keep doing that. I
I'm
really
not gonna
encourage you to
change.
not get that political speak that
Yeah, yeah,
other candidates do. I better speak like everybody. Just be yourself.
yeah.
We like that so much better.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it is important. I'm just trying to be mindful of like if I'm going to add to the noise, it should be for clarity, not volume, because I'm trying to just be mindful of what I contribute to social media with all the craziness that's happening. So
It's hard because
hard.
I compete for eyeballs just like a lot of us out there, and it's hard to be not divisive, to be loving and get attention. So like one of the ways I get attention is calling out the division.
Yeah, that's
It's
true
an
because
interesting
that's what the
space.
algorithms reward, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting space. Yeah. I'm really proud of you for running. I
Thank
encourage
you.
everybody else to get involved. We need township advisory board. That's a really small role. If you just step up to run for that, it's like a few meetings a year and you get some money for it. If we can fill up ballots especially in rural communities, that really helps get like Secretary of State or your person running for Congress. It really
Appreciate
helps up the
you.
chance of them winning. It can help if it's in your area, it can help you win. Yeah, and then you do have a primary. So it is a little bit different than like my race. I have no primary. So, you guys can share her stuff if you adore her like I do. Yeah, I hope you come back on. I'd like to
I
have you on
will.
again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially just highlighting certain stories of like actual Hoosiers hurting because of this bad bill, and you would want to
Oh,
not do
there's
that,
so many
that
of
type of
them.
stuff.
Yeah, I would love to do that. There's so many in the home care space. I mean, I have a lot, and yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me know if you ever want to share particular stories about that, because I am very worried about public health being defunded. It already is. It's going to be more. Oh, the statistics I looked up give me nightmares about what they're cutting in Indiana. We just got to keep going, run for something, have hope, build, get better people in like you, and fix stuff.
Well,
And
thank you.
you're willing to work across the aisle. Like you'll talk to a Republican to get something fixed,
Well,
right?
of course, we gotta be willing to work together in order to build something. That's a necessity at
We have
this.
a good Republican state House rep down here, Ed Clear. Have you heard of him?
I have, yes, and he
Ed
actually
Clear.
authored a pretty decent bill for FSSA, I think.
What's
Um,
FSSA? What is that?
Family Social Services and Administration. They oversee our Medicaid program. So yeah, I think he definitely is more in tune with the Medicaid
He's
healthcare.
been getting heavily bullied by the Republicans and the
Oh,
supermajority. He's been bullied, and he stands up for the people. And he said no to redistricting, and he was one of the people that got, what's it called, swatted.
oh, doxed or swatted.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
he
that's
was, what was different about him after that happened? He went and he got on the news for saying, yeah, the Republicans did this to me to try to get me
oh.
to not say no to redistricting. And I didn't hear that from the other people getting that happen too. So I
Well,
thought
good
that was
for
pretty
him
brave.
because that's what we need. We need more strong people who are willing to stand up. I say this all the time. We cannot afford to have people in positions of power who bend the knee, because that's the point of state government. You're here to protect us. And so if you have a federal government that is overreaching and overplaying their hand, you have got to be strong and stand up and protect people. And so thanks to him for doing that and standing his ground.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited about your race. I'm really excited about all the
Thank
people
you
filing
for
right
having me.
now.
This is
I'd
fun.
love to have you
Yeah.
again. I hope to see you at Indy on June 6th. Hopefully we can hook and talk for a couple minutes. That would be nice. And just wish you the best. Text me if
Thank
you ever
you.
need
You
any
too.
advice or help. I'm here for you. So much love to you and your family. Oh, give your parents a hug. Do they live by you?
Yeah, so my mom lives with me and my brother, and then my dad lives down in Franklin Township area. So my family's all in South Indy area, but they're
Well,
close to
just give
close
your
to.
family my love. I just think how
I
brave
will.
your parents are to come over
Oh,
from a
they're so.
different country and new culture. It's so
Oh my
brave.
gosh, I have so much more respect for it now as an adult, because like to think about how young they were and to like go
How young
from
were they? Do you know? How young were they when they came over?
probably like early 30s, maybe not that young, I guess, but like late 20s, early
I don't know.
30s.
I
And
didn't feel like a full adult in the early
I
30s. I still have a lot to
listen,
learn. That's so
I still have a lot to learn. And so to come to a country and not speak the language and to have such a different culture and, you know, to be Black in America in the 80s and the 90s like that, it's
Black,
different.
not from America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Give your love to my family or to
I
your
need to do
family.
a
I think
better
that's
job
really
of
amazing.
appreciating that for sure.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love that. I wonder if we could dive into more their story. It would be interesting. Just like what it
Yeah.
was like. Do you ever
Yeah.
ask them and get like the full
Oh yeah.
lowdown of
I could write a book.
That's cool. Okay, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Your family story is amazing. And yeah, good luck. Thank you so much. I know you're busy and you got other things, so thank you for making time for us. And please, everybody, share this episode. Share it with somebody who might like this story, who maybe needs to hear something about the division or something. Maybe they need some hope. And have hope. We're fighting. We're doing it. And fill out the ballot to run for something. We got till February 6th. You could be a delegate. You can be a precinct chair, township advisory board, township trustee, bigger things. Get on that ballot, go to your clerk's office in your county clerk's office and like ask a bunch of questions and fill out some forms. That's it. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye, Coumba. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Bye-bye.